Tomorrow will mark 22 years since the horrific attacks of 9/11. When Michael Bloomberg stepped down as New York City's mayor a decade ago, the reconstruction at Ground Zero was a work in progress. Well, today there are just a few finishing touches left. And he gave our Mo Rocca a tour.
In the shadow of where the Twin Towers once stood, glowing above the memorial pools honoring the nearly 3,000 people killed on September 11th, stands a shining new monument to the living. The $500 million Perelman Performing Arts Center opens its doors this month. The PAC, as it's known, is the final major piece of the redevelopment of the World Trade Center site. It's also the coda to a remarkable story of the revival of a neighborhood that many thought would never recover. You know, in 2001, before the attacks, downtown Manhattan had 33,000 people living in it, roughly. Cut to the year 2020, the number had grown to roughly double. I don't think many people would have predicted that.
Today it is a residential area. When I worked on Wall Street, there was nobody out in the streets at night. And now the streets are packed with people.
So how did that happen?
Well, we made it safe and we made it inviting, all the things that you should do to make any city attractive.
We are clearly going to have enormous problems, but I know that we are up to the task. We can do it.
When Michael Bloomberg was first elected mayor of New York, Ground Zero was still burning.
We will rebuild, renew, and remain the capital of the free world.
The emotionally fraught task of rebuilding it became a decades-long project that didn't end when he left office in 2013. Bloomberg is the chairman of both the 9/11 Memorial and the PAC, and has donated $130 million to the new Arts Center alone.
The design was to have a place for families to grieve, but also to have something for those families to live and to enjoy life, because the deceased, I always thought, would want their families to be able to have a life and to remember them, but go on and look to the future.
Michael Bloomberg's 12 years in office coincided with an urban renaissance, not just in New York, but in cities across the United States. Downtowns flourished as crime fell to its lowest rate in decades, a far cry from where many American cities find themselves today. Compared to early 2020, before the pandemic, most American cities, by most measures, are still worse off. Some are actually getting worse. What is the number one thing that has to happen for cities in general in the U.S. to turn it around?
Well, the first thing, you got to stop crime and get guns off the streets. There's no secrets here of this stuff. All these problems are problems that we know how to solve, but you got to have the desire to do so.
Bloomberg's success here has made him something of an authority on metropolises worldwide. His foundation has worked with cities from Atlanta to Lima to Milan. You really are still bullish on cities in general.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They have to get their crime rate lower and get the garbage picked up quicker and make their school systems better.
Vital services.
And enforce the law better and that sort of thing. And if they do that, they'll be fine. Look, we all forget, history shows we've been there before.
After 9/11, many worried that residents and businesses would flee New York, setting off a vicious cycle. Empty buildings leading to lower tax revenues, cuts in essential services, higher crime, and ultimately more people leaving. That didn't happen then, but the rise of remote work in recent years has reignited those fears in many American cities. I know you want people to go back to the office. You've written about this, but remote working is here to stay. I mean, in Minneapolis, the mayor there said he thinks it's going to top out at 75% coming back.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
You think more people will come back?
I don't know how to. I can't work with you if it's over Zoom.
Yeah, but realistically, what percentage of office workers are going to come back? There are going to be office towers that are still empty.
I'm not sure why that's true. I will say we are paying our employees for 5 days a week of work. okay?
Okay.
Now, if you think that those can be done at home, I don't know, but every golf course that I've heard about in the last 3 years has had record summers, okay? It is funny, but it's tragic.
Yeah. And I feel terrible for younger workers. Liza just off camera. I mean, she's like in her 20s. She comes to CBS and no one's there.
She has one chance to have a great career. It is to build a cadre of friends right now at her age that will be references for her going forward, because if she doesn't have somebody they can call, she probably won't get that job.
You can call me.
These are the people that are going to teach her how to do these things, how to interface with people.
Can you imagine, say, in 20, 30, 40 years, cities, downtowns that are primarily residential, where people aren't commuting to go to work?
Human beings probably don't change very quickly in what they do. You can't do the same thing via Zoom that you can do face-to-face, period. And so this is the biggest theater we're going to look into here.
Now 81, Bloomberg is worth an estimated $96 billion. He's pledged to give away the majority of his wealth, including his stake in the company he founded. May I ask, Ron Perelman gave a lot of money.
Yep.
You gave more. Why isn't it called the Bloomberg Center?
Well, number one, he started it. Number two, my name's on too many things already, I think.
But Bloomberg has contributed far more than money, says PAC Executive Director Hadi Kamara and Artistic Director Bill Rausch.
There's no question that this building would not exist without Mike. I think Mike really believes deeply that arts would be a vital element of how to rebuild down here.
More than just sort of a nice thing to have.
Oh, absolutely.
I think theater and arts in general have such an impact in the communities that they're a part of. And I do believe that they're essential to the nurturing of the soul.
And I'm not surprised that you believe that. I believe that as well. But was it reassuring, surprising to find that somebody like Mike Bloomberg believes that as well?
It was exciting to see that there is so much dedication to see it through over the course of these 20 plus years, but not surprising.
Tell you what, can you level the floor for us? Thank you.
That's power. The former mayor is particularly excited by the performance space's adaptability. The 3 theaters can be configured in more than 60 different ways to feature theater, dance, music, opera, and film.
So now you have a totally different venue.
But for the mogul-turned-mayor-turned-benefactor, this building is about more than the art inside. It's that art's ability to transform a place.
We started out to give people a place to mourn, to remind us that if we don't pull together, we can't do amazing things, but if we can, against all odds and all of the prognostications, really create something. The bottom line is, if there is culture here, businesses and people will move into that area and follow it. That's why, in the end, New York, you can be reasonably sure, is going to survive and do well.